listening to the Rainmaking Podcast, hosted by high-stakes headhunter, author, and professional speaker, Scott Love.
Hi, this is Scott Love, and thanks for joining me on the Rainmaking Podcast. If you're listening to this show, you're probably in the business of getting business. You want to get more business, better business, and eventually all the business from your clients. We have people from different industries. We've got partner-level attorneys with big law firms. We've got people in the legal marketing industry for their law firms, even others in a business development role within other types of professional services firms, and even B2B salespeople for corporations. Our listenership is probably about 5,000 people a month now. So I'm really excited and I'm grateful for that. Thanks for listening. Sometimes we're going to have guests on the show where their whole focus just impacts one industry like legal. Since I recruit partners for big law firms, from time to time, I'll have people on here talking about things that just relate to legal. And our guest today, this is one example of this. So if you're not in legal, it might not give you as much value. You're welcome to stick around and listen because we're going to be talking about data and how it relates to giving insights into selling to big corporations. Our guest today is Laura Leopard. Laura is a close friend of mine. I've known her for years. She's the founder and the CEO of Leopard Solutions, which is the largest and the most accurate law firm data platform serving the legal industry with actionable intelligence and insights on over 4,200 law firms worldwide and 7,000 U.S. corporate legal departments. So if you want to get business from in-house counsel, listen to this. She's going to give you ideas on how you can do this and how the data can help open up doors for you. Here's a bonus. On March 4th, 2021 at 12 noon Eastern Time, Laura is going to host a webinar talking about a State of the Union for 2020 within legal. She's going to talk about trends in lateral hiring among the top 200 law firms in 2020. She's going to talk about trends in law firm mergers and acquisitions, law firm growth and declines, even predictions on what 2021 may bring for the legal market. I'm going to put all the information and the registration link in the show notes, so be sure to check that out. And I hope you get some insight and some valuable ideas from my interview with Laura Leopard today. Thanks for listening. Hey, this is Scott Love. Thanks for joining me on the Rainmaking Podcast. We've got a special guest, a dear friend of mine, somebody I've been friends with for a long time, Laura Leopard. And our topic for today is using data for business development. Laura, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Hi, Scott. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. And if people don't know who you are, your company's Leopard Solutions, you're a data management company. And kind of tell us a little bit about how you got into the business of law firm data.
Well, that's a long, twisted tale. I was an actress in New York City.
Yep.
I was also a serial entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I've had several businesses in my life. And I started Leopard Solutions, that then known as the Leopard List, with a friend of mine, because we thought it would be the perfect business that we could do from anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I could go on the road and do a show and continue working, so my income wouldn't take a dip. Mm-hmm. So that was a long time ago now. That was about 18 years ago.
Right.
And we worked very, very hard. And it was a very, very much a sort of sweat equity deal. It was very low tech to begin with. And then over the years, we have become a tech company as well as a legal data company.
Right. Was it low tech, like you'd send data out on CDs, CD-ROMs? Or
Yes, that's exactly it. We would compile the data on an Excel spreadsheet, and then we would stamp it onto a CD. We would hand it to people and say, I promise I'll give you 3 of these a year. And that was our first subscription.
That's great.
And so, it wasn't that long ago. Think about how the world has changed.
It has changed. And your company, it's kind of neat just being an alliance partner with you, also getting to know your sales team really well and seeing how you've evolved. Kind of tell us about what are some of the new initiatives that you have currently specifically related to business development that people that are in law firms would definitely want to hear about?
Well, we have a new suite of products called our Business Intelligence Suite, and we developed it really with law firms in mind.
Right.
We have another competitive intelligence tool called Firmscape, very data rich, lots of history in there that we are bringing in to show these wonderful reports, but you really have to be willing to dig into the data to come to any conclusions.
Right.
So as a law firm consultant told me, is like Firmscape is great about showing you what has happened. And we wanted to create a tool that would show you what might happen, what we think might happen in the future if you make this move or that move, how it might affect your business. So we began with a tool, our M&A tool, our merger tool, where you can go in and shop for possible merger or acquisition targets. We are able to access the history in our database to determine what similar mergers, how they performed in the past, and how this proposed merger might perform for you at this moment in time. So we can tell you, oh, you're looking for an IP boutique in Dallas. We can show you all of your possibilities, and we'll even give you a score of how well we think that merger will perform for your firm. So it is a really in-depth, innovative tool to help your law firm grow with a small firm or a large firm with a merger opportunity and help you evaluate risk.
Right.
Lots of mergers are very risky, and many of them don't end well or have a great percentage of ending well over time. So what we're trying to do is give you a good eye view of where we think your risks would be in this merger or acquisition and what we think your final outcome would be.
That's fantastic. I like that you can give people a glimpse of the future based on past data. One thing I've kind of turned into just from knowing you and using your product is I'm a data junkie. And there's nothing that I love more than reading spreadsheets early in the morning and seeing, it's funny, but I really love seeing the data because that's something you can't deny. It actually happened, and you can see different trends. And there's so much information, it's almost overwhelming how much information there is. And what's even more overwhelming is what you can actually do with it. So what do you think, and speak to two people, speak to a law firm leader and also to a partner that says, I want to grow my practice. What are some of the applications that your data is most useful to for those two people?
Well, that M&A tool, of course, for the partner looking to open a new office somewhere or really beef up a practice in a particular part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But for the individual attorney, we have a brand new tool that just came on the market or joined the suite a couple of weeks ago, our connection tool.
Interesting.
Lawyers, in a sense, are salesmen. They are selling their wares, which is their talent, their legal expertise. But many of them are not good salespeople, as people in their marketing department can attest.
Right.
It's something they never expected to do when they went to law school, right? They don't have a sales class for lawyers at law school, but they have to be able to grow their business. So we developed this tool to help them do that a little bit easier. When things are easy, people are more apt to do them and to try them.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using a tool like LinkedIn or some other relationship tool where you have to input the data, you have to link your own connections, you have to do that work for yourself. This does the work for you. So as an attorney, I would put my name in the tool. I would also say, I'm really interested in growing my business in the technology sector. You would look in that wing of corporations, and then find out who you could leverage to gain business in that industry. So what we're doing is marrying all of the attorneys in our Leopard List database to all of our attorneys in our in-house database. But it's not just people that you know directly. It's people that you work with in your current law firm, people that you worked with in your past law firm, and then people that are connected through school, through your law school, that are working in that in-house database. And we will draw that line for them and say, while you don't know Marjorie at IBM, Daryl, who works at your firm, worked with her at his previous firm. So then you can just send Daryl an email and say, gee, can you set up a meeting with me with Marjorie? I would love to talk with her. So you are leveraging your connections, but you're not doing it in a cold call salesy way. You're really leveraging people that you know to help another door open up for you.
That's fantastic. So let me kind of back up a little bit here. With Leopard List, That's the data of all the attorneys, both partners and associates, and even counsel that are with law firms. And then tell me about the other side, what you have for in-house. Tell me about that.
Well, we have over 75,000 attorneys in our in-house database, and these are all attorneys working at corporations. Many of them once worked at a law firm and were in our Leopard List database, and now they're working at a company. Mm-hmm. So we are looking for connection points from any attorney in our Leopard List working at a law firm database to that in-house attorney working at a corporation that this attorney would like to target. And we are looking for multiple connection points. So these connections look at numerous items. They look at law school, whether it's the same law school graduation year or a year up or a year below, number of years they worked at the firm, their work history, current colleagues, who they're connected to, same practice area within the prior firm. We are grading all of these connections as well. So it's not just a simple line. What we're saying is, wow, you have a high connection point here. There are multiple ways that you can reach this attorney that's working at this in-house corporation. And here, these are the people that we think will give you the best path to that attorney. Not only are we drawing those lines, but we're grading those lines. This is a high connection. This is a medium connection. This is a low connection. So you have first level connections where you have been directly associated with that attorney working in that in-house company, or you have a connection through a colleague at your current firm or a colleague at your previous firm. All of the history that we have collected in our 18-year history is helping us to leverage those connections.
So when did you guys start this connection tool? When did you launch that?
We launched it in beta just a couple of weeks ago. So it's very new. Mm-hmm. And it was an incredible feat to put together, let me tell you. We had to really scrap a lot of things and start fresh, create a brand new database with all these connection points. And it's super fast. It is super cool. And nobody has anything like it. While there are products on the market that you can try to make your own connections. Let's take a LinkedIn type product, for example. Mm-hmm. Most people have under 500 connections. Super users could have 1,000 connections. But then you have to ask yourself, are those connections really valid? How many times have you called up somebody and you said, I see so-and-so, you're connected to them on LinkedIn. Could you introduce me? And they say, oh, I don't really know him. He just asked to come into my connection field. So it's not really a valid connection. So what we are looking for are those really valid connection points, and we can bring a web of connections to these attorneys that are far vast. They're much more vast in number than you're going to be able to do for yourself on LinkedIn. I have seen people working at large firms. They have 65,000 connections in our tool. They're not going to have that on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's a really powerful tool. And when you have a lot of connections, it's great because you can drop out the low connections, or you can shop and say, well, I know this person better than that person. I can use them to get into the company. And if you make it easy for the attorneys to make those connections, they will be more liable to actually do that work and to actually create that connection to bring that business to their firm.
So what went through your mind when you said, here's an opportunity? What was that inflection point for you where you started thinking about this and then you started taking action on that?
Well, it's something that we had been talking about for a while, off and on. We make various connections in our database now. But really, it was chatting with my dev team and chatting with my data operations manager, Ratan. And he said, because we started talking essentially about let's connect the in-house database to our job database. And then we started looking at possible other connections. Well, when we built or started building the BI suite, we built it in a completely different way than we have any other product. And
BI, that's the business intelligence suite, right?
The business intelligence suite, yeah. And it really opened up the opportunity for us to build something like this. It was a huge endeavor. We really had to start from scratch. But because we were in a new environment and we were in a brand new product, it was easier to start from scratch.
Right.
And we started seeing what we could do. And I have to tell, when we first started, everybody had more connections than they could possibly deal with. So we had to go back and we had to lower that again and say, okay, we really only want worthwhile connections. If you're in a law firm that has 5,000 people in it, and not everybody at that firm is going to be a good connector for you to get to somebody else. So in the same office, in the same practice area, they all worked at that firm within the same time period. Now we're getting to really warm connections and people that those attorneys might feel more comfortable reaching out to. We also divided the search engine by sector. So you could look at the business services sector or the technology sector or the health and human services sector. And then that would limit the number of connections that came over. But the really great thing about it is that this report will work for the largest law firms and it will work for the smallest law firms. And just having to type their name in without having to put in all the connections themselves is an incredibly valuable thing to hand to your attorneys who you are hoping are going to go out and do that biz dev.
Right.
The easier you make it, the more likely they are to use it.
Absolutely right. I think you've got a solid strategy, Laura. What are some success stories? Have you heard any feedback from any of your clients that have used that have gone out and they've been able to get new business?
Well, we have talked to a law firm that said they had a similar tool they had been trying to leverage, but because the attorneys had to put in all the data themselves, very few of them had even used the tool.
Right.
And they had had the tool for over a year. They're able to use this immediately, and they have seen some results from people actually using it. It's only 2 weeks old.
Right.
So I can't say any deals have been made yet, but connections have been made and attorneys have been using it and they find it very useful. We are really trying to stay in touch with all the people that have it right now to make sure that they are finding value, where we can tweak it, where we can make it better. We're also looking to strengthen the data points. In our Leopard List database, our law firm database, we also list corporations that attorneys have represented at the firm.
Right.
That will be another data point that we will be adding to this in the future. There will also be a version where, if they wish, they could add to their connections at the law firm. No one else would see them, but other folks at their law firm, to strengthen those connections a little more. So this is just step one in phase one of the connection report.
That's exciting. It's very similar to what I did with my whole focus of marketing my business. I had a podcast. I had you on there a couple of years ago. It's called the Partner Podcast. Yeah. And it was all about just for partners on a wide variety of subjects, such as ridiculous things like work-life balance and health, and things that just, it's nice to listen to, but then that's why I shifted the focus of this one, a whole new podcast where the whole focus is on business development, getting business, because everybody wants that. If times are doing well, people want more of that. If times aren't doing well, they really need that. And I think what your idea is, I think it's brilliant because you're showing that you're bringing business opportunities to your customers, your existing customers. It gives them another reason not to go to somebody else. It gives you a unique point of distinction. Nobody else can say this except for you. This is what's different about you. Yeah. And I think it's a pretty smart move. What's your plan to roll this out to your client base? What's kind of your strategy to get this in the hands of those people that can benefit from this?
Well, we came out with the M&A tool early in the fall, and we have given it to all of our customers who had a nationwide subscription and they had a Firmscape subscription. And they have been able to play with all of these BI suite tools as they have appeared on the scene. So right now we have the M&A tool. We also have our own Leopard Law Firm Index, which is a firm ranking system that's ungameable and completely different.
Yeah, and let me talk about that in just a second.
We have an ROI tool, which will inform, and this is also important. It's not biz dev, but it's saving money at the firm. How much money are you losing on your lateral recruitment? How much money are you losing on your entry-level recruitment year over year? it's a very clear picture of how much money is being left on the table as people leave the firm. And now we have the connection tool. We have a number of other reports all slated to come out over the next few months. Right now, it's not even for sale, but if you have those tools in Leopard, you have Firmscape and Nationwide, you're getting these tools for free right now. When they do go for sale, it's going to come fully loaded. So you're going to see attorneys from the in-house database, attorneys all over the world in the Leopard database, because you need it in order to leverage the data that these reports are going to give you.
And tell me about the Leopard ranking. Tell me what that is.
Well, we took a look at ranking systems that are available, out in the legal world today. Many of them are just a simple award. Here you are, you're a wonderful law firm. We're going to give you this, best law firm in whatever award. We're all familiar with, the top law firm lists and where they're available. The problem with those lists is that it is a one-time assignment. Here's your number. You are the best law firm, or one of the best law firms in the country. And over the next 12 months, that law firm could go out of business, which we have seen time and time again. Or they merge and two of them merge and become one big major law firm. Things change throughout the year. The list doesn't change. We wanted a ranking system that changed as the law firm changed. If you lose 50% of your attorneys, as one law firm has, you really shouldn't be in that top tippy top list of law firms in the country, right? So what happens at the law firm has to impact their rating. So we are looking at multiple data points that's impacted by all of our updates. We were updating twice a week. We have new information flowing in all the time. And you see law firms slip out of one rating and go to another. We've seen law firms that were in our very good bucket slip to good. We've seen good ones slip to fair. We've seen fair ones slip to poor. And there is a numerical ranking for all of those firms as well. We're looking at numerous data points, and one of the newest data points is their diversity numbers at the firm.
Right.
And we all know diversity has become incredibly important to think about, important to make sure that we meet our diversity goals in law firms. I don't know if you saw, but there was a statement put out by the GC of Coca-Cola saying, these firms are not moving fast enough.
Well, I saw that.
We need to get more diverse attorneys at these firms, more diverse partners. So in our Leopard list, we do have a diversity tool. We took great care to do it. And we're not marking anyone and saying this person is an African American. We're not doing anything like that. Mm-hmm. All we're saying is this person has a high probability of being diverse. Mm-hmm. And if you are a member of the Mansfield Rule and you are trying to grow diversity within your law firm, you can access this tool. If you're not a member, you can join the Leopard Diversity Pledge and say, I am looking for these candidates to present to law firms to help them grow diversity within their ranks. Then you can access that tool.
That's great.
Well, the great thing about having that probability on those records is it allows us to report on diversity at those firms. What is your percentage of diverse attorneys at your law firm? What is your percentage of diverse partners at your law firm? All of this is incredibly important as we are going into a hyper-competitive environment. And if companies are true to their word and they really care about diversity at law firms, those law firms that are growing diversity in their partner ranks and diversity overall are going to do better in the business environment.
That's right.
So this has become a part of our law firm index tool, and it helps to, give that ranking for those firms. Corporations use this to see what the diversity ranking is at the firm.
So
we're going to be coming out with a diversity report as well. So
corporations will be a customer of yours to see what firms are all about and their diversity efforts.
That's correct.
Wow.
It's, again, there may be different reports that come out during the year. It's a one-time look. This is my diversity standing as of today. But that diversity standing changes all the time. And if you are a firm that's really trying to grow your diversity and your numbers going up, any report that's a one-time view of where you are is going to be out of sync with where you are. If you lost a lot of diversity attorneys during this incredibly difficult time, then your number goes down. All of that should be reflected in real time. It's 2021. Everything should be reflected in real time. Your ranking, how many attorneys are at your firm, what's going on at that law firm should be shown in real time. And so many of the other things out there doing that type of measurement is not a real time. Right. It's just not in real time. It is a snapshot. It's a moment in time. And that in today's world is not incredibly useful.
So Laura, this is really exciting to see that you have built a company that is at the epicenter of every initiative of big law firms right now. Client development, diversity, overall health of firms, all of that. So if somebody wants to kind of take a peek under the hood, what should they do? And we'll put your links and your contact info on the show notes, but what would be some offerings that you have for people that are interested in learning more about this?
Well, we have a number of products. We have our Leopard List database, which is attorneys at all over the world. Right. We're not just in the US, we have international attorneys as well. We have our in-house database. Mm-hmm. We have our job database where we're looking at firm openings all day long, Monday through Friday, posting that in real time. We have Firmscape, which is our competitive intelligence program, which has a wealth of information about every law firm in our database, along with everyone's favorite tool, the Growth Decline Report, which shows what law firms are gaining in headcount and what law firms are losing in headcount. Mm-hmm. And then we have our brand new Business Intelligence Suite, which is, I hear, incredibly addictive, chock full of information. And my goal with the BI Suite was to take all of this data, put it in a very simple, easy to understand format, and just lay it out on a platter and say, here's what you should do. Here's what you should know. Here's what you can leverage, just to make it very easy for all users.
That's fantastic, Laura. Well, Laura, thanks for being a guest on the show. And we'll put all of your link information, all your contact information on there. And if anybody has any questions, just reach out to Laura on the contact info that we'll put on the show notes. And Laura, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Scott. Always a pleasure to talk with you.
Likewise.
Thank you for listening to the Rainmaking Podcast. For more information about our recruiting services for international law firms, visit our website at attorneysearchgroup.com. To inquire about having Scott speak at your next convention, conference, sales meeting, or executive retreat, visit therainmakingpodcast.com.